What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Minute Channel. And today I had a discussion video for you regarding Persona stuff. Yeah, I know, I'm always right. And today I wanted to talk about a Persona protagonist. So, if you only play the recent Persona games, you're familiar with the blank slate Persona main character, such as Persona 3, Persona 4, and Persona 5, Joker, Yun Arakami, and Makoto Yuki, or whatever his other name is. So all three of them start with no name whatsoever, a blank slate story, move to the city. It's gonna start the new year in high school, and something happens, and that's pretty much the same setting for all three of those games, which is different from Persona 1 and 2, which in Persona 1 and 2 the characters were established characters. They already had their friendships, they already had a life, they already kind of just everything was established for them. So the story was different, fairly streamlined from there. So my question for this video was basically, should Atlus continue to do the blank slate character, or should they just stop doing that and now move on into doing a established character? And the reason why I was thinking about it is because in Persona 5, while Joker is mainly a blank slate, there are certain points in the story where you really don't have a choice or a say as far as what's going to happen in the story. And I'm not going to discuss spoilers on Persona 5 or anything, but if you already played the game, you pretty not much know what I'm talking about. He is what I will call a half clean slate. You decide his name, you decide certain stuff at the beginning of the story, but his background is pretty much set up from the get-go. He has drives and ambitions and stuff that it really didn't happen on Persona 3 and 4. Persona 3 and 4 were completely blank slates, and they really develop from the story and everything. In the other hand, Persona 5, the Joker, he knows some stuff. He had a background. He had something that happened to him way before the story even began, and I think it's really interesting that the Atlus went for something like this, because I don't think they were able to say the same kind of story if Joker was a complete blank slate. So should Atlus continue to do this, or should they just make an actual character with a name, with a name that goes with the face and everything, and just establish character with background and a story and everything? And I think maybe it will be for the best. Just thinking of the advantages of having something like blank slate is so the player, the person that is enjoying the game and the experience, is able to have a unique experience with the game, because that means that every single gameplay is going to be different regardless of what you do. Every single person is going to be able to approach things differently based on the person that they are, and they develop the character the way that they want. The issue with that is that sometimes stories are I will say either incomplete or not well coherent with the story, because the player's choices sometimes don't really matter in certain aspects. And Persona 3 and 4 and now Persona 5, while you have some choices, you don't really have all the choices. Sure, you can get an ending on 2, but for the majority of the time, none of the choices that you do really matter for anything. They're just choices to get a different outcome. You say somebody that you like ice cream, or chocolate ice cream, or banana ice cream, and then you get chocolate or vanilla. That's really the only different thing there. There's not many variables there. I think that if Atlus wants to continue doing the a blank slate character, they will really have to develop a good way to have multiple endings depending on the path that you decide to do. Otherwise, I think that the character should be established character. I don't think it really works really well having a blank slate character, for me at least, all the time. I think sometimes it works really well. In Persona 3 it worked pretty well. I think Persona 4 it kind of worked but kind of didn't, and then in Persona 5 it just felt a little disjointed, because sometimes when you have Joker, choose certain stuff. It doesn't really go with his personality, because the issue is that he has a personality. When the player doesn't have control over the character, and it's like a cutscene or something, the Joker does certain things that you are out of your control, and with these actions that he does, you can see a personality pattern. You can see a drive for a specific something, and at that point, it doesn't really make sense for him to be a blank slate character. I think Atlus should have just had Joker be an established character with a full name, with a little bit more information, more background, more something, and just have the story play out like it did. But I think that would have been a little bit more better in the storytelling perspective. It would have worked a little bit better. I think I like the way that it worked out in the end, but I think that it would have been better just to have Joker be a established character. So should Atlus have a main protagonist that is a blank slate? I don't know. It really depends on the story. I think it depends on the kind of story that Atlus is going to want to do for Persona 6. If they want to do a story with a new protagonist, there is somebody that is moving to a city with no background whatsoever, and the story that envelops itself depending on the choices of the player, then yes, definitely a blank slate character works. If it's a story driven by specific aspects, including the background of the main character, then no, it doesn't make sense for the main character to be a blank slate. Anyway, that's pretty much the discussion for this week here. What do you guys think? Do you agree or disagree? I just think about this kind of stuff, especially with all these other projects from Persona coming out, like Persona the Royal and Persona S and all this kind of stuff here. It makes me think. It makes me think, when Persona 6 comes out, what will I like to see? And this is one of those things. Anyway, what do you guys think? Agree or disagree? Do you like established character or a blank slate character with no story whatsoever? Would you like Atlus to do something like character creator, just make your actual character or something like that? Anyway, thanks so much for watching this video. If you're new, consider liking and subscribing, and I'll see you next time.